Hello everyone, Charles Watts here from the London Stadium where it's just finished. West Ham 3, Arsenal 1. Not a very good night indeed for Arsenal. In fact, it was totally and utterly miserable. I don't really know what to say about that performance. They weren't awful in the first half. I thought they probably shaded it in the first half, but they still went in 1-0 down because of that Ben White own goal. Second half was just absolutely abject. They came out sleeping just immediately from the kickoff. They could have been behind after 30 seconds, survived that one with Carabao going through and Aaron Ramsdale making a save, but it wasn't long after that they were 2-0 down. Really simple goal. Fair play to Mohamed Kudus. It was an excellent goal himself in terms of what he did. The touch and the finish was superb, but it was too easy from an Arsenal point of view. One long ball over the top of Zinchenko, who was caught out. Had a bad night, Zinchenko, who was caught out. Really good touch by Kudus and a lovely finish, and then it was 3-0 soon after. Deflected goal from Carabao that kind of went through Aaron Ramsdale, and that kind of summed up Aaron Ramsdale's night. Well, I didn't think he really could have done much with it. I think a lot of people were criticising him for the third goal. I think he'll probably think he might have been able to do better, but it did take quite a big deflection. It was a powerful shot from Carabao, just kind of summed up the night that Ramsdale had. He was pretty unlucky at times, conceded an own goal. The second one went through the legs of Gabriel and left him pretty unsighted, and then the third one took a deflection. He would have been hoping for a really positive day here. Aaron Ramsdale coming in with a lot of spotlight on him. It didn't quite work out that way, but look, he wasn't the worst performer in this Arsenal team. Mikel Arteta made 6 changes from the side that played and started and won so convincingly against Sheffield United at the weekend, but just no one who really came into this game made any sort of impact. Jakub Kiwior, I think, was probably the best of the bunch. Reece Nelson had some moments in the first half, but it's just a weird performance from Arsenal. Like I said, I thought they probably just about shaded the first half. I mean, West Ham went in 1-0 up and they hadn't even had a shot on goal. The goal, of course, was an own goal. Arsenal did have some opportunities. Kai Havertz, who I thought started the game pretty brightly actually, but then faded completely as it wore on. But he had a glancing header early on that was well saved by Fabianski, and Nketiah had a chance at the near post which he headed wide. He had another chance in Nketiah from a Zinchenko cutback which he scooped over. So if there was going to be a team who looked like they were going to score in the first half, it was probably going to be Arsenal, but then they conceded from a set piece. Ben White with a glancing header at the near post that went in. Aaron Ramsdale was definitely having his shirt pulled in the build-up to that goal as the corner came in. I think had VAR been in operation tonight, that goal might well have been chalked off, but of course there is no VAR in the Carabao Cup until the semi-final stage. You saw Aaron Ramsdale running out to the referee after the goal went in, asking, I think, for it to be checked. I don't think he realised there wasn't any VAR, and you could see his face as the referee told him there's no VAR, the goal stands. You could see the surprise in his face. So I think in a way you could look at that and think Arsenal were a little bit unlucky with that goal, but what happened in the second half was not good enough at all. You could see how frustrated, you see where I am, the dugouts are just down there. Well, I say just down there, this is the London Stadium, it's actually a mile away because you're so far up in the stands here, but I could see how angry Mikel Arteta and his coaching staff was. He was not happy with that performance at all. He gave a lot of players an opportunity to impress. I don't think any of them really took it. Well, in fact, they didn't take it at all. As I said, Kiwior was probably the best of a bad bunch. It's another year that Arsenal have gone out of the Carabao Cup. I said in the build-up to this, I felt this was a game Arsenal should have been taken seriously. I don't think the team was a starting 11 that wasn't taking it seriously. I think it was strong enough to perform and win this game. They just didn't play well on the night. They just didn't perform at all, especially in that early stages of the second half when the game just disappeared from them. Kind of expected them to come out after half-time and really have a go to try and get that goal back, but just went completely the opposite way. It was a really disappointing, really poor showing in that second half, and we'll see what Mikel Arteta has to say downstairs in just a few minutes' time, but I can't imagine he is going to be at all happy with what he saw from his side. And it's going to be a very different starting 11 in that game against Newcastle at the weekend. At the time of recording this, Newcastle are winning 3-0 at Manchester United as well, so they're going to go into that in buoyant fashion, while Arsenal are going to go into it on the back of a defeat. Whether that has any impact on that game remains to be seen on Saturday, but disappointing night here at the London Stadium from Arsenal. Okay, let's go with some player ratings now, shall we? As you can imagine, these are not going to be very high player ratings for Arsenal. Aaron Ramsdale in goal, I gave him a 4. Like I said, he was unlucky with the first goal. In fact, he was just unlucky on the night. But he did look nervy with the ball at his feet. You could see West Ham were targeting him in the first half when he did have the ball at his feet, and that could have got the crowd going a little bit. Probably the only bit of joy that West Ham had in that first half, other than the own goal. Could do nothing with the own goal. Like I said, he was having his shirt pulled. Maybe the third goal he could have done better. He could have got a stronger hand on it. It's another game where you kind of think the only shots that really were on target for West Ham, they scored from. Although, having said that, he did make a good save early in the second half when Bowen went through. But I gave him a 4 out of 10. Ben White, I gave a 5 out of 10. Disappointing with the own goal. He got that all wrong at the near post. Other than that, he didn't do anything really majorly wrong, but it wasn't one of his better nights. I gave him a 5. Gabriel, I gave a 5 as well. Kind of looked at the goal in terms of the second goal for Kudus, and it was one of those where Gabriel seemed more bothered about keeping his hands out of the way than actually really trying to block the ball. He kind of turned a bit sideways, the ball went through his legs. I think he maybe will look back at that, and the analysis will look back on that afterwards and think he could have potentially done more to block that shot. So I gave him a 5. Kivior, like I said, I thought was the best of a pretty poor bunch from Arsenal. He did have a really sort of good, entertaining battle with Bowen throughout the game, and I thought he did well for large periods of it, and was the best of the lot. So I gave him a 6 out of 10 as my man of the match, and I think that says a lot for what this Arsenal team produced on the night. Alexander Zinchenko is just another disappointing night for Zinchenko. I think the fact that he started this game clearly shows that Tomiyasu is going to be starting at Newcastle. I think that shows the sort of pecking order at the moment when it comes to Arsenal's fullbacks. Played pretty, I don't know, it was just a really underwhelming performance. He had one good bit going forward when he got the ball back for Nketiah, but other than that, defensively he was exposed. The corner that the first goal came from was him switching off. Gabriel did well to actually cover, but Zinchenko switched off and his man got in front of him at the back post. And then the second goal as well was just far too easy. A long ball, we'd let his man go, he gave him too much space. Brilliant from Kudus, but Zinchenko could have done better. He was replaced fairly soon after that, and I'm not surprised. So I gave Zinchenko a 3. In midfield, Jorginho, I looked at that team sheet and I did think this was going to be a game that Jorginho could struggle in. He had Havertz and Vieira in front of him. That's pretty lightweight. Smith Rowe not playing because of that knee injury, and I thought Jorginho struggled. He was left isolated a lot of times. When West Ham went forward, you could see he just looked a bit sluggish. He didn't have the pace to get back, and it was the first time in a while I've watched Jorginho in a game and thought, oh, you struggled a bit there. The game passed you by a little bit. It was too quick for you. So I gave him a 4. Fabio Vieira, he did get an assist right at the end for Martin Odegaard. I gave him a 3. Maybe I should give him a 4 because of that assist, but I was really disappointed with Fabio tonight. This was a chance to really impress, another chance for him to really impress, and he just didn't take it. The game passed him by constantly. When he did get the ball, his passes were being overhit. I just thought it was a disappointing performance for it. Like I said, he did get an assist at the end, so maybe I'll top it up to a 4, but I had initially given him a 3. Kai Havertz, I thought started the game well. I thought he looked bright, he looked hungry. He was putting himself about, he was sort of going into challenges. It just looked a little bit different. It looked like he was hungry to make his mark. He had a header that was tipped over, and I thought, oh, here we go, this is going to be a good performance from Havertz. But he did fade completely as the game went on. Again, as West Ham got on top, Havertz just disappeared, and I gave him a 4, and it was just another pretty lacklustre display from Kai Havertz that kind of left more questions than answers with him. Trossard and Nketiah and Reece Nelson were the front line who started. Trossard and Nketiah Trossard was out wide too much. I wanted him more in the central areas where he could have hurt West Ham. He was out wide and he just couldn't really do any damage out there. I gave him a 4. And Nketiah had a couple of chances in the first half that he couldn't take, that he didn't get on target. Second half, he had no joy at all in that game before he was replaced. I gave him a 4. Nelson, gave him a 6. Probably, maybe that's one too many. Maybe it should have been a 5. But I did think in the first half, especially, if someone was going to make something happen in that front line, it was going to be Reece Nelson. He had a couple of shots blocked. He sort of did at least try and run at West Ham at times, so I gave him a 6. In terms of the substitutes that came on, Declan Rice came on pretty early. That was at 2-0. West Ham third goal winning very, very soon after that. Tomiyasu came on at the same time. I gave them both 5. Saka and Martinelli came on. I was surprised they came on. It was 3-0 at that point. You thought, is it really worth it? The game was done and dusted. You're risking them getting an injury. They didn't really have any impact on the game either, so I didn't even give them a mark, to be fair. And Martin Odegaard, look, I'm going to give him a 6 just because he came on and scored a goal in the last minute, and it was a very nice goal as well. A good finish from him. Good to see him back amongst the goals. Hopefully that will give him a decent little confidence boost going into that game against Newcastle, where he's going to need to perform very, very well at the weekend. So yeah, just a disappointing night here at the London Stadium. Really poor from Arsenal. West Ham deservedly go through. It's finished Arsenal 1, West Ham 3 here in East London.